Hey, yo, Tuesday night, we're back once again for a USS Nationals seminar. All right, this is a really good one, and it's coming in at a good time because what we've been talking about over the last couple of weeks is all building up to the end of the month where we have Nationals in Charlotte, or I guess technically Concord, North Carolina. So at this point in time, we have been training hard. We have been really putting a lot of effort and energy into this, but we have to go into game day with the right strategy for each event. And here is why. You need to get the absolute most out of your individual skill set and level of strength and conditioning. Now, for some of these, like for a lot of people on the log, for example, which we'll cover more in depth in a second, this could be a near maximal weight for them. However, even if you think, wow, hitting it once would be a PR, with the right attack plan, you could maybe get 2 or 3. And I'll explain exactly why that is. But also, if you're really good at some of these, if you do not use the right strategy and you don't pace yourself correctly, then you're setting yourself up for disaster and missing out on serious points. Okay, so it's really important to have a game plan, but also to be adaptable and flexible with it. You shouldn't just be completely stuck and married to this idea because things will change, most likely for the better, for the positive. All right, so these are the events as they're written so far for 2025 Nationals. It's the yoke carry, log, frame carry, frame deadlift, and sandbag throws. I don't know if this is going to be the order on the day of, but this is how it is currently listed. So we're going to go through it as if that was the case. But again, be adaptable, be flexible because things could always change. It's likely at least one thing changes here. All right. So first up is the yoke. Now, what you need to be asking yourself on all of these for every single thing, basically, is it near maximal? Okay, so for a yoke carry, is this near your max weight or is it something that you're going to be able to move really, really fast with? And we're kind of playing on the spectrum of every event where these things are for you. Is it a max effort, really heavy thing where you need to just worry about getting points, period? Or is it something you need to really put all your chips in and maximize as many points as you can to maybe win the event? So if it's near max, by the way, as we're going through, there's a free handout in the description to this video down below. So if you want to follow along, take some notes, or if you miss anything whatsoever, all that stuff's in the free guide and the link below. Just click the link, make a copy, and it's all yours. Okay, so with the yoke, is this near max? If this is a maximal type weight for you, that's going to change your strategy from the very start. You need to make sure that you are in a even stance, a nice leg press or squat style stance. So we can stand up, get even, walk our feet in, and make sure that we are perfectly centered and braced before we get moving. So as you're doing these things in training, you need to think about just the repetition and practice of the skill of starting these things off. So if it's near max, you have to be really focused on bracing and maintaining stability the whole way through. This is one straight away length. It's not a down and back for the yoke. So if this is, again, near that top end level weight, what you need to worry about is getting it off the ground with control and then moving it with as few drops as possible. So take your time, right? What we want to do is conserve as much energy as possible, but it's easier to stay moving than it is to get moving. So even if you have to just take your time, step by step, that's okay. Really put extra focus into what I call your hips and your nips as headlights. They need to be in the direction that you want to go. So if I'm trying to walk straight at you with my yoke, I need to make sure that my hips and the center of my chest is going in the direction that the yoke needs to go. So if I start to turn a little bit, again, snap back in the center, or even if the yoke starts to sway back and forth on me, I'm just going to correct my position, hips and chest centered perfectly forward. However, if this is a lighter speed yoke for you, then you need to focus on moving as quick as you can without losing that stability and balance. So in some of these other seminars that we've had, I've got the whole playlist on my channel. Please check them out. One of the things I talked about is one of the biggest mistakes that people are going to make is on the yoke. Even if they're really, really good at it, they're going to start off really quick, and even too quick to a point to where the yoke is going to start swinging on them because they started moving too fast. They lift their chest, and the uprights with all the weight on them is going to be swinging back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So let's again think about this visual of how sprinters in the Olympics, when they come out the gates, they stay low, stay low, stay low, stay low, stay low, and then down the course they come to their fully upright position. We need to be doing this with the yoke and the frame carry if we are going to be really quick. This is what they're saying the order is right now. So I don't know if that's set in stone, but this is as it's listed right now. But anyways, make sure that if you are somebody that's got that really speedy start on the yoke or the frame, that we don't just like step and start swinging back and forth. We have to have just a little bit of patience to take those small steps and then gradually accelerate down the line so we can coast up into our top speed and then maintain it for about 75, maybe 80% of the course. So we should be looking to hit that top speed at about 15 to 20 feet down the line, right? Now, if you are somebody that's going to be moving this really, really quick, you also need to make sure that you are getting this yoke all the way across the line with no slide penalties, okay? Very, very important. Okay? It can be very easy to get close to the finish line, and then the yoke just slides, right past. Like, listen, we're going to be at a very high adrenaline state. Whether it's the first or second or third event, it doesn't matter. We're running yoke at a nationals. So you have to make sure that you have your eyes on exactly where your finish line is. One thing that I would recommend to you is to be cool and courteous with your judge and ask them to tell you when you are clear and have completed your run, so that as soon as your judge is hollering at you or yelling at you, if you're cool and you have asked nicely, they will tell you when you're done. They're going to hit their timer. And then if it slides after that, it's not going to matter because you carried it all the way across the line per the event rules and instructions. Event strategy for all events. Stay hydrated, peoples. All right. So again, we're kind of just playing this balance of how heavy or light is this for you. Now, one thing that I want you to consider, we talked about this last week for fueling up, is we should be in a pretty carb dominant state, but we don't want to, have a whole bunch of food in our stomach. We want it to be easily digestible stuff that gets into our system and digested so that those carbs, which turns into glucose, is ready to use in our system. But also we have to talk about caffeine, because caffeine is a very good real performance enhancer, but you have to determine based on these events, when is the right time to load that and use that in your system. So with caffeine and your arousal and your overall adrenaline levels, you're once again finding the balance of being alert and aware and excited, but not too deep to where it's going to get you jittery and irritated and take you out of the zone where you might need to focus very intensely on your form. So for me, if I was doing nationals this year, I would be having some caffeine before the yoke because I am pretty good at the yoke. This is not something that I have to, really put a whole lot of focus on my form in, but I am an exception to that. I tend to find that most people do need to pay a lot of attention to the yoke. So to make sure that you're getting every little element of form correct, you can use some caffeine, but make sure you're not like really dosing all that pre-workout right out the gate. So you can, again, find that balance of having an elevated state of energy, but not so much that you're losing focus and making small mistakes. We want to make sure that we're saving the caffeine for times when we can execute. We know this for sure with a high level of arousal, and we don't need to have a whole bunch of focus in the technique or rules of the event, which is going to take me right into event number 2, which is the log. So this is one where if I'm going to just break it down from my perspective, please think about it for your own, what this means. Log is very technical and complex. So for me, when I'm doing log, I really do need to make sure that I'm packing my core and correctly rounding through my upper thoracic spine to get my right rack position. But that's a big difference. This and this may look similar to the untrained eye, but there really is a big difference. If I'm a little sloppy with my form, I'm going to be losing that core tension, which is going to put me in a bad position, which will give me less efficient reps, which will allow me, or which will make me do worse on the event. So I'm not somebody that would want to do a lot of caffeine before log. But once again, we want to, on all events, ask ourselves, is this near maximal for me, or is this something that's light? Now, for these rep events, I'm just going to put an R above the log and the frame deadlifts. These are events for reps in time. One thing that you need to be doing is treating these as cluster sets. Whether you are incredibly good at it, or you might only be able to do 2, 3, I don't know. You should be following the timing of the event so that you can maximize your work done in that time frame. So I want you to think, like, let's say I have 245 on the log, right? If I've only done that, as a real life example, I had done 245 for 3 in training before I had it in an event. But what I did in my competition was do 1 single, rest about 8 seconds, 1 single, rest about 8 seconds, 1 single, and I did that to actually successfully then get 4 in my time frame. So that's what you need to be doing on these rep events, is playing the clock and making sure that you're not going to complete failure, because I could potentially do a straightaway set of 3, but then that would push me to my limit. It would really expend a lot of energy, and I would not have enough time within that 60-second window to recover and get another one. But because I'm not pushing myself all the way to the limit, and I did 1 short rest, 2 short rest, 3 short rest, 4 short rest, then I was able to get more out of this. So some people on this frame deadlift are, I kid you not, I guarantee you, going to be getting like 30 plus reps on this. I absolutely guarantee it. Even if you are somebody that's incredibly good at this, the way I would recommend to treat this is to do, again, clusters where we want to do like 8, pause, 8, pause, or 5s even. We want to do something short to where we can have this steady, sustained energy the whole way. So that's how you want to treat these rep out events. One thing that I learned from OSG, the World Finals last year on the axle deadlift, I thought that I would be able to do 5 on the axle deadlift. I did not end up doing that well. I did 3 and narrowly missed a 4th. But even knowing that, if I were to do 5, I would break up my strategy and I would go for doubles the entire time, hoping to get 6. So that's that. Log. Now, this is a big challenging one because a lot of people are going to zero the log. I just know this already. So if that's you, or I don't want to say that you're going to zero the log. I want you to say, if this is something that is near a personal best, I want you to have some extra excitement about this, about the opportunity to set a PR. But also, this is the time when you should be incorporating some work with heavy overloads in your training so that you have this actual comp weight or more in your hands. Let's say your competition weight is 245 on the log and you have never done that before. What we want to do is take a log out of a rack position or under it in a heavy overload like lockout, where we get under it here and lift up to where we're holding this weight in our hands and on our body, so that when it's time to actually touch that at competition, we're going to feel used to it and adapted to it. Or let's say we could do a heavy overload or heavy front rack with 315, but our comp weight is only 245. Then it's going to feel lighter. It's going to give us a lot more comfort and ease and a higher ability to execute that rep successfully. So if this is something that might be a PR for you, get some heavy weight in your hands, even if you're not pressing it. And even to a point, I don't recommend changing your program. You should keep following along with exactly what your program has outlined for you to do, but add in maybe an extra hold or just something to get your hands on heavier equipment. Log is heavy, 5 pounds less than my max. This current training cycle is going to increase my max for sure. So yeah, awesome. Again, I want you to think about this as a positive, what a cool opportunity to set a PR on a big stage. So I really speed read that comment, but that was a Trapper King Sean saying that this weight is 5 pounds above his max. So I would reckon that Sean's going to get 2 or 3 at this, even though it's above his max. If he plays this one smart, he's going to come out, take his time, get one good one, take a breath, reset, get a second one 15 to 20 seconds later, and then give himself a shot at getting a third one. So that's how you should approach this if this is near max weight for you or will be a PR. Also take your time and don't panic because, hey, sometimes technical mistakes happen, but if we have composure, then we can just reset, have the wherewithal to understand, I missed that because I pressed it out in front instead of going up and back, right? So just have some composure, use the clock, and use cluster sets to get the most out of your time frame. All right, now frame carry. This is also something for me personally that I would not be doing a whole bunch of caffeine on. Reason being, I tend to find that my grip strength is weaker when I'm really, really highly stimmed out. So yoke and log are going to be, similar as far as how we approach strategy, right? Like you just have to wonder, is this near max for me? Like if this is a weight that is near your max capability and end range, then your biggest concern should be starting correctly. So you need to have that even squat stance pickup, like a big wide leg press. Make sure that you are even, make sure that your grip is centered, make sure that you are perfectly square, and that you then start moving forward with the frame, okay? So if you are somebody that's going to be running fast with it, then we're obviously going to be using a split stance, but we have to use that same type of idea as we were talking about with the yoke, where we don't want to, just stand up and shoot up right away, because that's going to cause the frame to sway with us, and then you're going to have to waste a lot of valuable seconds either dropping it and picking it back up or just having to stabilize. So getting this start correct is very highly important, whether this is maximal for you or something you're going to fly with. You just have to make sure that you're being very, very stable, make sure your grip is centered, and make sure you are walking the line. I mean, we're not doing like a field sobriety test, 1 foot in front of the other, but you should see your path and your straightaway in front of you. I talk about this as airplane vision. If you're in an airplane coming in for your landing, the airplane still remains like relatively vertical, but your eyesight is looking down, out in front of you, not down here, but for a yoke or a frame carry, down about 15 to 20 feet down the line. You should visualize that path and make sure that you're staying clear on it, because people will naturally start to drift to one side or the other. So if you're doing a diagonal path, you have a 50-foot straightaway, or this one it's 60-foot straightaway, but you're actually shifting over to the side a little bit, you're adding 5 to 10 extra feet in your distance. So it's important that you stay totally straight. Correct yourself if you need to. All right. Now, frame carry 2, this is a down and back. You're going to cross the line, turn your body around, and then bring it back down the other direction. So both starts and transition on this one needs to be flawless. Okay. It is better to take a few extra seconds to make sure that your start on the transition back is perfect than to rush it, screw it up, drop the frame, and then pick it back up in an even worse way. All right. So take your time, but you need to be practicing this right now in your training. If you're not already, you still have plenty of time. Cool, no problem. But you need to be practicing that little drop, turn your body, and go. Now, I would really strongly recommend to watch people warm up and do rounds with the frame before you're going, because I can't really guarantee you how much this is going to slide or not at competition, whatever the floor surface is, whatever the specs are on the bottom of the frame. So if you're really going to be hauling butt with this frame, how much does this thing slide? It might not at all. It might not at all. So if you are moving here and you drop, it might be in place. Make sure that you're not going to lose, or just waste a bunch of steps by dropping here, going inside the frame, maybe bashing your shins. Just be ready, whatever's going to happen. If it does slide a little bit, make sure you're moving with it, and then you can turn around and put yourself right in the exact position you need to be. You just have to be ready for whatever it is. So pay attention to other people carrying this and how much is it going to slide on you once you take it down, drop, and then pick it up, bring it back. Very important. Now, everything we talked about on the log is kind of once again the same for the frame deadlift, right? This is something you should be using cluster sets on. You need to save some energy for multiple short sets, right? So I guarantee you people are going to be getting 30, but if they do 30, they're still going to be stopping short somewhere of their max capability. Even if they could do 30, they'll probably do if not 888 or 555s, they'll do 25 and then take a break for 10 seconds and then keep pounding them out. So even if you're somebody that's incredibly good at this, you have to make sure that you are taking your time and maximizing the clock. This is a 70 second round as it's currently listed on Iron Podium right now. So get the most out of it. When you're doing this as well, whether you are near maximal weight for this, or this is a lighter weight that you can just rep out, bang, 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 over and over again, you have to make sure that you are focused enough to set this frame down in place. This is another time when you need to watch other people with this frame, depending on how the weight is loaded, depending on the shape of the frame, depending on all sorts of factors. You may find that this frame is falling out of position, or people have a tendency to fall forward with it, or people have a tendency to drop and then it bounces out of alignment. So you need to be making sure whether you're going bang, bang, up, down, up, down, up, down, or, you fight to get one, down, down. So whether you're going at a slower pace or a quicker pace, you have to make sure that you are dropping it in a centered position so that you are not wasting energy and you are in the right, correct alignment to move right on to the next rep. So you should be having an idea right now in your training, whether or not you're somebody that wants to, quick drop or, lower under control. So you're nice, tight in position. I'm not sure what the best strategy is going to be quite honest. When I've done side loaded deadlifts for high reps, what I tend to like more than anything is it's kind of free fall drop and then re-wedge, boom, here, boom, re-wedge, boom. So it's a little bit of like a worm, type motion there. So I free fall drop, lose my tension, and then I reset every time. I do think so. Now I wouldn't say for every frame on this, but I know for sure some of these guys that are in the 198 and the 220, they're going to be capable of getting 30 plus. I know if I was doing 181s this year, I could get 30 plus on that one. Now, I don't want you to like freak out and worry about that for everybody, because these are outliers. These are outliers of people who are going to be getting that 30 plus. That's only going to be the very, very, very top of very, very, very top of each class. But again, we have 5 different events. So typically the people that are really, really excellent at frame deadlift are not as excellent at everything else. They'll probably be pretty good at the yoke, but not as good at the log. So on the log, you'll be getting people that will do, I don't want to say do, but I think people will be capable of 15 reps or more on the log. But I guarantee you those people that are doing 15 on the log are definitely not doing anywhere as near as good on the frame deadlift. It's just how it goes. So when I'm talking about this, I'm just giving you the examples of like, when we're doing these reps, whether you're doing 2 or 5 or 10 or 30, you still should be saving a little bit of energy and not just going for broke with a big set out the gate. Save a little bit of the tank, take a short rest, maximize the clock, and then keep going. Yes, you should try to do your best on every rep. So as we're talking about this good grand strategy for everything is you should not pay attention to what other people are scoring, okay? Now that's different from, how other people are doing with some of these events. You do want to pay attention to some details where you're seeing common mistakes or certain judgment calls in your lane to make sure that you're not making that same mistake, okay? Like for example, I know that a lot of people will be sliding the yoke, or I know that a lot of people will be dropping this frame deadlift out of place. So make sure you're paying attention to those things so you don't make the same mistake over and over again. But it doesn't matter what they score, because that has zero impact on what you personally are capable of. So make sure that you know these realistic targets for you, stick to them, and then when you are peaked and fresh and in a good mindset and you handle your nerves correctly and you channel your energy the way that it should be with the right amount of adrenaline, caffeine, food, fuel, then with those right expectations and strategies, you should be able to get anywhere from 105 to 110% of your performance out on every event. So we're looking for 5 to 10% PRs on everything across the board, which is totally possible and practical if you do this right. So, all right, moving on to, but I appreciate you popping in, Hip and Classic. I appreciate you. All right, sandbags. We come to the other side here. So sandbags is one where people are going to be all over the place with this one. So you need to, on this one in particular, make sure that you really, really do not panic or rush this one. Since this is going to be last, depending on what type of program you're running, you might not be training sandbags at the end of your program, at the end of your workout. This is going to be a pretty high energy demanding day, especially if we're going to go from frame deadlift into sandbags. That's using a lot of the same movement, our legs, our hips, our back. You should reasonably expect normally when I'm just fresh and I just warm up and I haven't done anything heavy yet, I can throw that 30-pound bag from 20 feet away, no problem. But that might not be the case. So I would really emphasize and put high priority on making good, successful throws and no misses, even if you need to grab that bag and bring it further back closer to the uprights. Because if you have not seen, it has been posted in the rules that the bags are going to be set 20 feet away from the uprights, okay? Now you can move the bags closer back to the bar height, but you can only move one at a time. So depending on what your layout of bags is, get them right. Get it successful. That is so much more important than, rushing and completely missing. And especially since we're throwing these bags from so far away, what's going to happen is people will miss and they're going to throw that bag 20 to 30 feet away on the other end. And you do indeed have to throw from the side that the bags are laid down. So you can't just go to the backside and throw it over. You actually have to throw every single bag for a correct throw from the side that they are laid out. So it's very important that you don't miss, because if you're throwing from way far, you're going to be chasing them and you're going to waste a ton of time. But also, powerful explosive throws like sandbags are just big energy suckers. They don't feel like it because they're so light, but this is why you'll see people miss a sandbag throw over and over and over and over again, when really the best strategy is to take a breath, relax, and then reset and go. Because you just keep draining your battery, draining your battery, draining battery, draining your battery, instead of taking 5 seconds to let it charge back up, and then you can pull from this big high power level. So what I would recommend for the sandbags is set an idea for bags 1, 2, and 3. I think a lot of people, most people will probably be able to clear that first bag pretty easy. I'm going to turn on a light in here so we can see this a little better. But a lot of people are going to miss or be close on 2 or 3. So I just really want you to think very carefully and precisely about how much time is wasted if you miss. So don't miss. It might be worth it taking a few extra seconds to bring your bags back closer to the uprights. Now, with all of these events, I think it's very important to understand a little bit of, gamesmanship, right? Now, they're probably not going to change the order for each event, but if you're somebody that's so fortunate to be near the end of your class, this is where things like the sandbag throws or these rep out events really, really make a big difference. So if you're somebody that's going near the back end of your class, you're going to have a pretty good idea of like what's reasonable. So if you're here going 20th out of 20 for the sandbag throws, and you know that people were missing these over and over and over and over again, then you have the luxury to take your time just a little bit, not too much, to bring your bags back closer to the uprights, flame them over, get 1 correct, 2 correct, 3 correct, and then you could win the event. This is going to be hilarious. I'm telling you, people are going to throw these miles away. They're going to miss by so much. They're going to undershoot the crossbar, and they're going to end up like 30 feet on the other side of the throw heights. That event's going to be really funny to watch because, again, they're starting 20 feet away. So anyways, that's how I would approach all of these, is really just kind of playing the balance of what's reasonable to expect for yourself, and then be optimistic that we are going to set personal bests on all of these, whether it's getting 1 rep on this for the first time ever, or we're going to get a PR of 25 reps, or we're going to have a fast yoke run. What I want you to do is think about what is reasonable for you. If you've never done 1 rep at comp weight, you should not be thinking, I'm going to go in and get 10. That's stupid. It ain't going to happen, and you expecting that is just going to set you up for failure and disaster. But instead, we want to have a mindset of we're going to set PRs, even if they are little ones, because we want to start to create a good, successful, positive outcome for ourselves no matter what happens, right? Now, I say this all the time. This is something that Nick Canby told us in Strongman Club call, is if you get second to last, but you PR every single event, is that really a loss? No, it's not. So what I want you to think about is how can you make a plan for a reasonable small PR and start thinking and visualizing that now. So think about what it means. If you have this log weight that's 5 pounds above your current max, guess what? If you hit it 1 time, we got a PR. That's awesome. Think about how good it's going to feel to get a PR, even if it's by this much, how proud you're going to be of that, and start feeling that emotion now. When we talk about all these things, the world of manifestation, talking about creating your reality, the way that we do that is tapping into emotional states. That's how we manifest. That's how we, again, craft our own world. So what we really want the most out of nationals is to set personal bests, to come out of this proud of our achievements, and then really having outcome goals or just thinking I'm going in to win is stupid, because there's so many other things that are completely out of your control. So for you to say I'm going to win takes no considerations into effect who you're going up against, and just puts a lot of fake and unnecessary pressure on yourself. Because if you come in and you smash this yoke, bro, you do a sub 10-second time, and you have that, but your whole time you've just been visualizing about I'm going to win, and somebody does an 8-second yoke, then it just saps your energy and your fuel over something that you really should be pretty stoked about. And if we have 5 events over the day and you just keep saying I'm a PR machine over and over and over again, then you're going to start with good momentum, and then you're going to build on it, build on it, build on it, build on it. But we can only do that successfully with these realistic expectations. The thing is too, is let's say we get out the gate and we have a mistake on the first one, right? As always, there are no such thing as failures, just lessons. So we always got to learn from things. Let's say we drop the yoke, okay? If we have been rehearsing in our mind and making the right strategy and attack plan for all of these other things, if we were to do something like drop the yoke, then we're going to be able to keep composure to just pick it right back up without freaking out and still have a successful run. This is not the end for you. I want you to remember, even people like Mitch Hooper on the frame carry at the Arnold this past year, he dropped the yoke and picked it back up and finished the run and won the event. There's nobody else that could have done that, but he only did that because of his composure, right? He's somebody that has a very, very high degree of belief in himself. We could, of course, go into all the personal discretions about him, but as far as an athlete, the way he focuses and sets his expectations up to reality is exactly correct, okay? But because he had the right frame, the right belief in himself that he's going to do his best no matter what, he was able to have a mistake, drop the frame, something that would end most people, and then pick it back up and keep going to, again, win that event. So by implementing the right strategies now, by spending time visualizing ourselves being successful in a realistic, reachable way. Once again, let's talk about log. If this is 5 pounds above your PR, you right now can visualize setting a PR 5 pounds above your PR. It's totally within reach. We can, sense that down to our core. But if we start thinking about trying to set a PR 80 pounds above our PR, that's ridiculous. We cannot in any way connect to that because we have just no connection of what that's like in our hands, of moving that at all or being anywhere close to it. So let's start looking at these things that are just slightly 5% at most above our abilities. Feel them, because we know we are so close. So that should mean to us that we are fully capable of doing it. And if we're following a training program that peaks us and then deloads us and allows us to come in at a fresh, awesome, charged up athletic state, then we'll be able to achieve it. So this is something I could go on and on and on and on about. But once you start thinking about these things that are, again, only a couple percentages above your current capabilities, and start believing and feeling them and seeing them in your mind and playing the mental picture of it over and over and over again in order to make this a reality, to be a PR machine and maximize your points and your placings at nationals. So I'm just going to leave it open for about 2 minutes, maybe 90 seconds here. If you have any questions, once again, I put a little bit of a freehand guide down in the description below. So if you want to get a copy, maybe make your own notes on that, that's in the description below. Totally free, no sign up, none of that stuff required. But I'm here, guys. If you got any questions, now's the time. I'm happy to answer. I want you to do your best. Nationals is cool. I did it last year. We'll not be doing it this year, but I wish you all the best. It's going to be a really, really cool, fun competition. It always is. Got some fun events. A lot that can go good or go wrong, So that's that. Any questions, guys? Going to leave it open. Joseph What's your favorite cues when pressing a log close to max? Um, so actually for that, I'm gonna not really give you as much of a cue as much as that's something where having confidence and belief in myself carries over. When it's time for me to set a PR, I'm not really doing a whole lot of actually focusing on my cues. I try to take a step back and believe in the confidence and abilities that I have laid down through repetition and practice over and over and over again in my training, and then just step into the excitement of the moment, channel my energy to where it needs to be, believe in myself, and achieve and do it. So the one thing I have been focusing on in training, though, recently is a tight front rack, especially in my upper body and my chest. So Nick Canby talked to us about, a good log front rack is like a good front double bicep pose. So when you're doing this, you're not just like soft here, you're up, you get your lats engaged. Whew, there, yeah. I mean, you can see it as I actually like lats there, come in here. So I really try to think about that flex in so that I've got this really strong pressing shelf, where my lats are squeezed in, my arms are squeezed in, my lats are in, and I have this nice comfortable position where my head is back, log is up here, arms is tight, and I can stay stable to rocket it up. So when it's time for me to actually set a PR, I just believe in myself. I visualize kind of all of the things that need to happen going through. So I see myself having proper form. And then when it's time, I just try to let it go and relieve pressure or any of that and just get it out. Now, another thing on that note, it's a good question. Something else I've been focusing on, which is, again, more an internal process than an external. With log, a lot of people tend to look up at a spot on the ceiling for that, but I think that actually is more of a detriment in the long term, because if you're training in the same gym, you're going to be looking at the same spot on the wall over and over and over and over again. But if you go to somewhere else in competition, it's not going to be at your home gym or where you're used to. So trying to internally dig into yourself being in the right position and just believing that your head is in the right spot goes a lot further than picking a spot on the wall to look at. Or, if you're outdoors looking up at the sky, it's going to totally ruin your perspective and just throw you off, man. That's that. So good question. Joseph, I'm going to send you some videos, man. I got some log on Thursday, so I'm thinking about that a little bit more as I'm going through. So I'll let you know what I'm thinking about, man. But a lot of times it's just kind of like belief in self. I do in my training, like analyze my videos and my forms pretty much automatically, but I just kind of think about it. It changes a little bit, but good question. So, all right, guys, that is my it's Tuesday night seminar. We're going to be back next week. We're only about 3.5 weeks out from nationals. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you are training hard. If you need anything at all, you want some support, some questions, you can hit me up. You can comment on this YouTube video right here. You can hit me up on Instagram at Stephen M. Coyne or hit me up at Club Strongman, either one. And stay strong, my peoples. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. See you guys.